Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I want to show you today just an inside look of what a week of my fourth graders curriculum will entail, what it looks like. A bulk of our curriculum comes from Heart of Dakota, Preparing Hearts for His Glory. We do use we don't use what they've chosen for like math and language arts, and I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with their choices. I think probably their choices are really good, but I did not come upon Heart of Dakota until my oldest was in 6th grade, and we were sort of settled in some, like the math that we really liked was Matthew C, and it's always worked for us and all of my boys. And like the grammar that we're using, I used that first year because I was doing a 4th grader and a 6th grader, and it was just easier for me. And the spell to write and read that I use, I have been using since my second was like in kindergarten. So it's just stuff that I was used to and that was working for us. So I went ahead and kept those and stayed with those. And that is also what I'm using for my youngest, which is in 4th grade this year. So let me turn you around and I will show you what it looks like inside of the teacher's manual for Heart of Dakota's Preparing Hearts for His Glory, and sort of what a week looks like. Okay? Okay, today I will be showing you what a schedule of my 4th graders week, and we do use this as a core, but we don't use everything that's listed. We have some other spelling and grammar and Bible that we use, but I wanted to share what a week might look like for us. And this is one of the older books, and it does not come spiraled. I actually purchased this used years ago, and this is how I purchased it, which I absolutely love it this way. And but they do have a new book out, which would come with notebook pages, so which I will talk about how that intertwines in the week. So we'll open up and see what's inside. I'm going to start with just a week. And what we have on this page, we have reading about history, story time that has to do with that, a history project, a research. They have something different each day: research, geography, vocabulary, and I can't remember what the last day is. I think it's timeline. And then we have an independent study, which also will have to do with the history lesson. On this page, we have poetry, Bible study, language arts, math, and science. Okay, the first thing we start out usually is with reading about history, which is usually out of one of the spines, and today it would be Grandpa's Box, and it gives you the pages. Story time would be with Tirza, and sometimes we'll read it right along, and sometimes we'll read it before we go to bed. He has older brothers, depends on what they're doing and what we have time for. History project we try to do. We haven't done all of them. This week it was making a pyramid, which was a little bit more difficult than we expected. His older brother actually helped him. They watched a YouTube video, and there is more to it. It's not just this. By the end of the week, I think it's supposed to be on a sheet of paper, and you're supposed to put glue and glitter on it, make it look shiny like a pyramid, and give it a desert look. So there's more to it than that. And then there's some research. You can research about pharaohs. And then the independent study. You will be using draw and write through history, and you will be drawing a picture of Moses, and that is in this book, and he has already done that, and that is actually on page 38. I am not one who pushes for perfection. I want him to enjoy it and do the best that he can. And at this age, I think just encouraging them is the best thing. So now, we are not doing poetry. I'm not saying that we won't pick it up later, but right now it's just not fitting into all that we are doing. We are doing our own Bible study, but we are keeping up with the scripture memory that they have, which right now is Psalms 9. I also write this on our whiteboard, and we are using this is Foundation of Faith, and it is from Not Consumed. Her name is Kim Segoras, I think. I don't want to butcher that, but she has several Bible studies. This is not a year's worth, just I mentioned it in my curriculum video for my 4th grader, and that is going well. We have enjoyed that. So that is what he's doing for Bible. For math, he is doing Matthew C, which is he watches a very, very short video, and then he'll just do a paper front and back. So, and then I'm just going to walk over here. This is our spelling. We use SWR, and this would be part of the language arts. They use rod and staff for the language arts, and I will show you what they use for spelling. But this is what we have always used with all my kids, so I just sort of am sticking with it and not switching over to their spelling. And then under language arts, instead of the rod and staff, we're using the Winston Grammar, which I have done a review on that. You can check that out. And he has his cards here for that. So, but their spelling is in the back of the guide. I want to mention for the spelling that they did have like list spelling words in the earlier guides, and now it's more of dictation passages. They have a level 2, 3, and 4 in the back of the book. We have done this, and I'll be honest with you, we may do some dictation before the end of the year is up. We'll probably guess he'll be on a higher level, because I'm looking at these words thinking he knows them, but they have a level 3, and oh, here we go, level 4. So, that you can pick from. And I do really like dictation. I think it helps with taking notes and just prepares them for the upper levels. So, and they will have dictation, I think, through the next 4 or 5 guides. So, and then we have our science exploration. And today, you are going back and you are reading from, let me get the science book. Right now we're using One Small Square. And what it looks like they're going to do is page 19. Let's see. You're going to review these pages and then draw I'm trying to look at the directions, but I think this is what he drew, which was pretty much the life cycle. So, after talking about it. And of course, right now, we are talking about Moses, and it will give you a key idea and a review of what you are talking about in each of these subjects, and even with the science. The yucca moth and the yucca flower need one another, and that's sort of why you're studying about that and what it does. Day 2 will just repeat itself. With this particular program, it doesn't change too much except this one box. Today it's vocabulary, but today the reading will be out of Children's History of the World, 1 chapter out of that. And then we're continuing Tirza for the reading. The history project, it gives you more to do. And then the vocabulary. Now these pages are new. And they actually sell notebook pages. When we did it with our other boys, this is not how we did it. We actually printed some pages off of a file that was on a Yahoo group, which you can now find on a Facebook group page, Preparing Hearts for His Glory, Heart of Dakota. But a lot of them just do it in a notebook, because that's what it originally was. This is an older book, older teacher's guide, But they do have a newer book that correlates with these pages, but I have not had any problems. But the vocabulary dictionary page, these are the words enslaved, exodus, famine, and then you can guess the meaning of foreign, gives you sentence to go with it, and hostile. You can draw, you can define, you can do a sentence. You can push to do all of it if that's what your child, now my child is probably completely capable of it, but I feel like if he wants to draw a picture of it and he talks to me about it, that is what, I am fine with that. So, and so that is day 2, and then the independent study, that's probably why I didn't push the vocabulary, is because he did have cursive to do. And he was to copy page 48, just the second paragraph. Now what I usually do is I make sure he can read it, and then I have him copy it. Now, depends on how well you want the handwriting. I want it to legible. We are still working on that. One of my boys, cursive never was his thing. So I would try to get him to read it, but then I would print it on a whiteboard and let him just copy and print. So I am just encouraged if they're learning. And if they are so stressed they don't know what they learned that day, then I'd rather them do what they're capable of doing. I think the comprehension level is all there for this particular program. So, and then they have language arts, which, like I said, we do our own Bible study, math, and then science, again, would be just to read a couple pages from that Cactus Desert book, and which he can do himself and narrate. One thing I did not mention is they have these little letters at the top of each section, and this is a teacher does this with you. Now this can be student teacher together, and this is completely independent study. He should be able to read that, pick up the Draw Right Now through book, and do that himself, which he is completely capable. I just, when it's a cursive, I'd like to make sure he can read it before he writes it. And same with the science. He can pick up this book and then he would narrate what he read to me that day. And the science and the history, this is what I love about this program. It just, biblically, it just brings it all together. And the story is wonderful. All the stories are. We just really enjoy the program. And the Bible verse for this week goes so well with the story about Moses and the children of Israel. The Lord will be my refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. So everything just always runs so smoothly together, and it's so encouraging. Again, on the third day, he'll read Grandpa's box and Tirza. Well, I'll read Grandpa's box, and I usually read Tirza. Now, he has read a chapter because he loves the story, and he's sometimes if he has to wait on me, he'll like, Mom, can I just read one chapter? So he's done that a couple times, but I enjoy doing it with him. So, and then continuing with the history project, geography. So we just went over a globe and finding some of the countries. And then it gives you a key idea about Mount Sinai and the Red Sea and where they are today. So, and then independent study, which is something he can do on his own, which would be to draw. He has not done this yet. We have not got this far in the week, but it would be draw and write through now, and he would be drawing a couple of the plagues, and then on tomorrow he would draw the quail, which is in here. And then again, Bible study, of course I said like we do our Bible study right here, and then our scripture memory, and then we have language arts, which is our spelling and our grammar, and then the math. And then the science for this day, which they usually do this once a week. I'm trying to grab this notebook. This is our science notebook. which I did print off from those files. I did print the science notebook off because that's not something they have available on the Heart of Dakota site. But it was day 3, and it was just after reading, we were answering some of the questions. So it'd be nice if you had a colored printer. These were some pages that I had from before, and then right now we just have a black and white printer. So, but you can completely answer these questions in a notebook. They give them to you right here. So, and then making sure I got everything. On the 4th day, and this program is a 4-day program. So that is helpful because I do have a couple teenagers, and just being able to be flexible. It gives me an extra day to be flexible. So it's again Grandpa's Box and Tirza, and today, out of the notebook pages that I ordered that are new this year, he's been working on timelines, and it would be Unit 7. He will be drawing something from the Exodus, and it gives you an idea of what to write or draw. And then also at the last 4th day, about reading about history, after he's done with Grandpa's Box, he can go back and look at the bottom. It tells you what page to sort of look at to get an idea, and then have the student finish reading the passage and answer some of these questions. And then after the questions have been answered, to write 3 or 4 sentence narration. And he's done that in the past couple weeks, and today it'll be God provides food in the desert. And that's what he'll write it on here. So usually we just, I'll read it. We'll discuss the questions and answers, and I will write whatever he narrates to me on the whiteboard in our classroom here, or you can do it on a small whiteboard, and he will copy it onto the notebook page. So, and if you can do it in cursive, if that's what you prefer, or you can do it in print. Right now we're just doing this in print. The only cursive I do is if they tell me to. And then independent study would be the quail that I mentioned. And then poetry, Bible study. We continue with our Bible study and our Bible memory, language arts, math, and science. The last day they usually have an experiment that has to do with what you're talking about in science. And it will come from the Cactus Desert. You will read some pages, and it looks like you pretty much just need, I think, ice cubes for this one. I read over it to be sure, and a glass. And I think it's mainly talking about condensation and cactus, and explaining some of that. So, and that would be a week's worth. So it can be done in a timely manner. I know a lot of people will be like, have 2 or 3 of these guides going at a time, and that's amazing. I don't think I've ever had more than, I may have had 3. I may have had 3 books going before. But usually we don't really start Heart of Dakota until 4th grade. So when I do have other guides, which I absolutely love, like the next one will be Creation to Christ, and so on. Right now I have one in high school doing their guide, World Geography, that by that time they are independent. So it's not as much of me, except maybe for like, he needs help with algebra or something like that. So that is the encouraging part about this program, is that it will lead the child to independence, and the more you do it, the more they learn how it runs and what can be expected of them. So I hope that was a little bit encouraging and gave you an idea if you were curious. We have a mess on the table now. I keep most of his stuff. I try to keep it in this container over here on the side. So if you have any questions, maybe I wasn't real clear on anything, just let me know. Okay, I appreciate you watching this. I do know that someone might think, well, there's not a lot of writing in the language arts. Well, I feel like this year it's more written narration. There's some cursive, there's some drawing, and that is fine. That is enough for us. Next year, it will definitely pick up in this program. So I was just going to let you know that. So thank you all so much for taking the time to watch that video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That encourages me. And if you'd like to see more homeschool videos, please subscribe below. Love to hear any comments, any questions you have, or anything you'd like to see in more detail. All right, you all have a great day. Thank you.